talk about Tasha. I expected Tasha to win that fight. You didn't. You thought Lauren Price would have too much. Where did it go wrong for Tasha on Friday, Joe?
I can't say that Natasha did too much wrong, because everything that I asked her to do, she did do. And a little bit what Lauren Price said, she was just a little bit too quick and a little bit too sharp. And I had reservations last year. Obviously, we beat Michaela Meyer. I wanted Natasha to try to tie her then. Then she was out for a year. She came back December, fought Habazan. I thought that shut the ring rust off. She looked all right. She was just that little split second, and Lauren was just as Natasha was about to throw, knew what was coming and just gone out of it. And when we managed to get her in round 3 into sort of a trade-off where we got the better of, we won that round. And the last 2 rounds, we got Lauren where we wanted to, which was up close, hitting body and head and sitting in the pocket. And Lauren, when she was ahead, her tail was up and it was hard to catch her. And then we fell into Lauren's trap that we had to win rounds and let Lauren's tail was up and she had to sit back and just counter-punch, really. So...
I think, Joe, you had the tactic spot on. I was listening to what you were telling her in the corner, and you were telling her to sort of move out of range. And she was doing that. As Lauren was attacking, she was moving out of range. But I think the missing element of all of it was that she wasn't coming back in time. She was just too slow coming back with the shot. She was making her miss. She was sort of setting it up and then not coming back. And I think it was just the speed of hand, speed of foot, really, of Lauren at this stage of their careers that made the difference in the whole fight. Because tactically, I think Tash had it spot on with what she was doing, but she was just missing that first bit. She was making her miss, but then not making her pay. That's what I think was the difference between...
A couple of times, because Lauren was coming in on the second jab, I was saying to Tasha, just drop and walk her onto the backhand, and we were pickpocketing her early on, and she was walking into big shots, and she did in the last round. But once Lauren was onto that, because she was coming forward, she thought, nah, I'm going on the back foot here, and listen, fair play to it, was all Lauren Price.
Was Lauren better than what you expected? Do you think she performed better? Because, I mean, she's sort of coming into her own now, isn't she, Lauren? In the last couple of fights, it all seems to have slipped together. Like, timing was a little bit out when she first started out in her first couple of fights, but it's all come together now. She's going to be a tough girl to beat.
No, I don't think so. I think there's more rounded fighters out there that I think will give Lauren Price. No disrespect to Lauren, she beat Natasha Jonas, but I think there's some good fighters out there that are really give her a good fight. And like Natasha said, yeah, Natasha's the best name in her record, but she wouldn't be the best name in her record. And that's it, the jury's still out, do you know what I'm saying? But listen, she did well, she did what she had to do, fair play to her and that team of Kraken and that, so good luck with her career.
Was it just a reality about being unkind, Joe, of a 40-year-old fighter at a certain stage in their career now, coming up against the younger, fresher fighter? And I'm not suggesting that Tasha got old overnight in the ring, I'm just simply saying that you're at a stage now where she is 40 years of age, and she's coming up against a younger, fresher fighter. Was it just simply a case of that? Would a peak Natasha Jonas have beaten Lauren Price?
Well, I'd say so, and I'll back her all the time, 100%. I want Tasha to try. She's 41 in, 2 months' time, and I remember training Anthony Crolla for his last fight. His camp was brilliant, and everyone's going, what are you retiring for? What are you retiring for? He came back after round 2 and 3, he goes, I'm shattered. Right. I just got it. And in the end, he was having a 10-round slugfest with some Spanish opponent that was brought in to make the job. And I'm not making them type of excuses for Natasha, but it comes a point where there's a little bit where you're just a little bit off the ball. I think...
Well, that's what I was looking at, Joe, when I was watching the show. You look at it and you're going, Tash knew what she had to do, but she was just... You know, just a split second off the pace.
Just that little bit hesitant to pull the trigger. It's called pulling the trigger. Just that little bit hesitant. When you're rising, it's not... And I've seen people say about football when they're on about Casemiro.
Can you only see that, Joe, in a real live fight rather than inspiring when you're building up to a fight? You must have had an expectation of Tasha going into that fight because you were very vociferous and very noisy during the week. Was that just to get under Lauren Price's skin, to get her at it and get her off balance?
Yeah, it was, because I'd looked and watched the documentary that they did, and then I seen how she'd done well at kickboxing, football, and then she made a comment like, and I've had a few headbutts at playing the centre half. I thought, wow, there's a little ticking time bomb in there that could come apart, and I want to know, can you control being out of control? And because she's had such an easy, free run, and she's never been in it, I've just thought, no, I'm going to try try and get in her way in something. And from what I heard back, she was like, was upset over a few things, but that was it. That's your job, and that's it. We were going to war, me and Natasha, and I wanted to take the heat away from Natasha, and wouldn't say set about her, that it's not bullying, but it's a sport, and I think psychological warfare is something what they do very well in America in all sports, where it's NFL, where it's boxing, basketball, but over here you try it, then you're like, oh, what's he doing that for, or doing that, but it's all part of getting that little
psychological
bit psychological. And
Joe, talk to us about the scales as well, because there was that issue there at the weigh-in, wasn't there, with Natasha? She weighed in with all her clothes on, but the scales weren't calibrated. Can you explain a little bit about that? Like, because they have to be calibrated by the Boxing Board of Control. What happened with that in the end?
Well, nothing. I'm still waiting for the calibration certificate for that day. The sticker that was on it was the 9th of January. Right. And here we are at this prestigious event where the promotional company have hired out this prestigious venue, paid fighters for this brilliant fight, unification fight. Yet we couldn't have a pair of calibrated scales to get the weight right. And the people on the weighing scales before it were saying, she weighed light, she weighed light. So when I hear Lauren Price is struggling with weight, and the opposite would have happened the other way around, I'm obviously on them scales. I want to see her weigh in.
But they didn't get calibrated though, did they?
No, there wasn't the sticker on it. It was 9th of January.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
So how did you overcome that?
Well, they didn't. Obviously, you see me. I stopped Big Mo from announcing
That's what I'm saying.
But they ran ahead of it. So I sort of like said in the rules meeting, I said, well, listen, God forbid anything happens to these girls tomorrow night, because technically, and I said to governing bodies, these haven't weighed in on calibrated scales, so insurance-wise or anything else-wise, good luck with it all. If anything does go wrong, not wishing anything on, obviously good luck that nothing did go wrong. But these are the small things where boxing, time and time again, gives it its own black eye in the sport.
Going back to Tasha, I mean, I was trying to pick up on what you were saying there. Are you suggesting that maybe it's now time for Tasha to think about stopping?
I did last year, but that's not because I've always wanted Natasha to go out at the top and beat Michaela Meyer, the blue chip. It was like, go, you've nothing more to achieve, you've done it all. But she's like, no, I still want to do this and that, and she wanted to fight Katie and Michaela. So Tasha's at home now. She's got to have a holiday, come back at home, and we'll have a think about it. But she knows how I feel, and if she wants to carry him. My only thing with this, Simon, is there's no medical evidence, because women's boxing, there hasn't been so many female fighters, but there's nothing to show me a female fighter at age 41 and what her mental health and body is like at age 55, 60, especially a woman, Natasha Jonas, that started off at 130 and went up to 154, 147, and has been out of a weight division for the last 2 years in training, sparring bigger women, fighting bigger women. No one knows that, and that's my main concern, Simon.
What did you think of Hannah Rankin's comments about the all-female cards and the feeling that ultimately it's something that she doesn't particularly agree enables the promotion of the sport to get quite the eyes on the prize? She's sort of suggesting that having an all-female card disadvantages the level of attention that it gets. Where are you on that?
I don't know what the viewing figures were for Saturday night, but we had big events in the past where we've had Savannah Marshall, Carissa Shields, Baumgartner, Terry Harper. What it does is gives an undercard where, hypothetically, we've just got to look at the events that have happened in Saudi recently, the big shows there, the Anthony Joshua shows here, the Dwyer shows. How many females are on the card? There must be one female on it. Yeah. But having a whole female card gives the likes of Caroline Dubois, obviously gets it, but the ones that are on the undercard, some attention, some span, that helps them promote their career with sponsors.
But what she's saying is by having a mixed card, it brings more eyes on the prize, which gets bigger audience.
I disagree, because that one you're talking about there, the one that they had at the O2 with Carissa Shields and Savannah Marshall, I think that hit 2.2 million views, if I'm right. That was one of Sky's highest viewed boxing shows. So
you don't think she has a point?
No, I don't think she has a point in that. I just think that, you know...
Right.
I think it's the appetite of the fights that are on there and the fighters that are on there.
But I do feel that's already in play, because Natasha won a world title on the Smith-Eubank bill, and I think Hannah Rankin's fought on the male cards, and there is females that have been on the male cards. So it's not something that there isn't. There is.
Yeah, it's a very... I mean, when I went to the Clarissa Shields-Savannah Marshall fight, which Alicia Brooke-Garden fought Michaela Mayer on, it was a very different audience, wasn't it? It was a very, very different
family-orientated audience, for sure.
I want to ask you, Joe, about the Katie Taylor-Amanda Serrano 3 fight, where Serrano's got a little bit upset about the idea that they agreed in principle to fight 3-minute rounds, and now it's gone back to the standard 2-minute round mentality. Where are you on this debate about women's boxing and going to a 3-minute round rather than the 2-minute rounds?
Well, there's two things. I've always said for them big fights at the weekend like Natasha fought, they should be 12-2s, not 10-2s.
Say that again?
they should be 12 2-minute rounds
Right.
for them big events, the unification and titles, or 10 3-minute rounds.
Right.
Because I feel Natasha's style is more suited to 3 minutes. I think the 2 minutes still for Lauren even. She's coming out that amateur system. Katie Taylor's style is still, I wouldn't say it's amateur, but there is that shoe shining, quick punches, land a combination, nick the round type of thing. So I can see where Serrano thinks, well, if I have 3-minute rounds, I'll have 3-minute rounds and we'll do 10 threes. And I wanted Tasha to fight Lauren Price over 3-minute rounds, 10 threes, but Ben wouldn't have it.
Do you think we'll see more knockouts? Because that's what the argument is that you're going to see more conclusive outcomes in fights. And then you've got the debate about how palatable that is for an audience to see. And again, I'm not getting into this argument about whether I think it's right or wrong, about seeing women knock one another out.
I know that we'll see more knockouts because that last minute in a round, Joe will back me on this. Them first 2 minutes, yeah, but it's that last minute when the fatigue really sets in. And if you're doing 10 3-minute rounds, 12 3-minute rounds, or whatever it is, for those girls, that last minute is going to be significant and you will see more knockouts. Do we want to see that? Probably
Well,
not. I think if it's not broke, don't fix it. I like the 12-2s. I like that idea for world title fights. Yeah. But I think the 3-minute rounds, for me, I don't think we need that. I think the girls produce great fights under the 2-minute banner.
I think it's like you have your Wimbledon, your men have 5 sets and the ladies have 3 sets. And maybe that's why it'll always stay. But I would like to see it go to 12-2s. And if Amanda and Katie get back around the table and go, all right, we can't get 3 minutes, but because this is such a massive big fight, let's do 12-2s. Let's be the groundbreakers and that. We'll have 12-2s for these undisputed unification fights like Tasha and Lauren that weekend.
But are you in principle against the argument of women fighting 3 minutes in a round?
No, I'm not. I'd be happy to see 3 minutes because I do feel some of them do turn into solid professional fighters. They know the ring craft, the timing. No, I'm not. I understand with the knockouts, it's hard to see on the eye. But like I said, that's the sport that everyone signs up for at the end.